is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 207 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, December the 9th, 2023, and my name is Jeremy Lee. I would like to thank everybody who tuned in last time with our guest, Mark Hill of My Card Post. You can catch that and all old episodes on the channel. Next Saturday, our guest is a hobbyist by the name of Eitan Shapiro, but you may know him on Instagram as the Sports Card Cartel. He'll be joining us next Saturday. Tomorrow on the channel, Josh Madigan of the Hockey Cards Gong Show joins me for our weekly PWCC Hockey Auction Ending Watch Party show. And Monday night, Michael Hathaway of MC Sports Cards joins me for MC Mondays Live. Two very fun, educational, and lots of action on those shows. Please join us tomorrow and Monday. I'd like to ask you to please join. Close to 500,000 people who've downloaded the Center Stage app across both iOS and Android for quick comps and card management features. Their app is the fastest and most accurate at card shows or at home to help you price your cards, build, organize, share your collection with your friends, and find other collectors to follow using the social sharing features. Marketplace features are coming soon, so check out their Instagram account and help me in encouraging and supporting the great team they have there and the innovation they are undertaking. Also, use protection, practice safe swaps. VeriSwap is an app and middleman service that lets you securely trade cards through the mail. Every transaction up to $1 million in value is fully insured by their guarantee. Check them out on iOS and Android. They are now live in Canada. We'll be opening up a Canadian hub soon. They are offering $50 in free trade credit to anybody who adds 10 hockey cards to their account. There is a referral link in the video description below. I want to shout out my friends at hobbynewsdaily.com. Check them out for a constant stream of hobby content. And you can now buy and sell tag graded cards on ComC and join tags, tag gradings, Discord server and Facebook group. Links to both are at taggrading.com. Tags new. Tag X $12 grading service is a game changer. And Pokemon and other rounded corner TCGs are now available for grading. As always, I'd like to thank our partners, sponsors, and of course, loyal viewers and listeners for your ongoing support. If you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast, please take a moment and do so. And with that, we're going to get on with the show. Usually at this point, I introduce the guest, but we don't have a guest tonight. This is the solo show. Just Jeremy. That's me. And we're going to get to it. I got a few things to talk about. And I want to first say hello to, we've got Tyson's Card Corner. What's going on, Tyson? Welcome. Jake Dahl is always here. Mike Double V, good to see you. Orlando, welcome. The Melting Wax podcast, everybody. That is Dennis Zender, my Taking Stock co-host. Check out his new YouTube channel, Melting Wax Podcast. Frank Estella's here. Sylvan Lashwine, what's going on? 90s hockey collector Daniel, 86 Collectibles, welcome to the show. Jeff Hart, vintage card collector. Barry Ma, what's going on, Barry? Good to see you, buddy. Dan's Vintage is here. Cholo Dolo is here. What's going on, Travis? Welcome to the show. Willie T, good to see you as well. All right, so what are we going to start with? Rob Sonier, welcome. I thought we'd start today with Terry Fortunes, as freestyles are always good. So yeah, we'll freestyle. I do have a couple things that have been sort of top of mind for me lately, and it's not like nothing controversial, I don't think. But one of the things that I was having this conversation, I've had it a couple times over the last couple of years, but you know, like RPAs, for an example, rookie patch autos are often, the patches are often not game worn, right? We recognize that. We understand that it's the way it is. They are often photo shoot or event used, or, you know, not associated with anything that we know, anything in particular. And so I went and I kind of went through a bunch of cards starting in the late 90s right through till 2023. And I read the backs of a bunch of them just to see how the descriptions on the back have evolved over the last, 25 years, I guess. And I also think to myself, so first of all, there's that piece of it. We can take a look at a few of those. But I also think to myself, RPAs in general are kind of like the cream of the crop, right? They are kind of the grail rookie card for a rookie any given year, whether it's the National Treasures RPA, the Exquisite RPA, the Cup RPA. Those are the cards that everybody, I won't say everybody, those are the cards that people who can afford those cards really want to get. And very few of them contain game-used memorabilia. And when jersey cards first came out in 1996, the hobby went crazy. Just a jersey, just a napkin patch, as we call it now, or a napkin swatch. The hobby went crazy for those things. And they were very hard to pull. I still go crazy for them. I still think they're so cool because they're the first ones that ever came out. Now the jersey card is an afterthought for the most part, right? They're barely hits. But back in the day, it was game used. And the back of the card some backs of cards went as far as to tell you, what exact jersey was from. I found a card today that showed a picture of the jersey that the swatch on the card was from as well. I think it was a baseball card. And I thought, that's unbelievable. Like that's what I would love to see today. So I bring this all up because there's so much value that we, the hobby, assign to cards with patches that are not associated with anything in particular. Are they associated with the player on the front of the card? Maybe. I mean, it's very vague these days on the back. It just says that, often it just says the enclosed material is not associated with any event, any season, and it doesn't even reference the player. So, and it doesn't even mention the player in many cases. So I don't know what to make of that. And I just think it's very, it's very vague, and it's kind of risky because what are we actually getting? Do we know what we're getting? I don't think we know what we're getting in a lot of cases. I don't even know if the card companies know what we're getting, some of them. So what I like to do personally, so first of all, I stopped collecting RPAs years ago because of the fake patch epidemic. That was a big one for me. I was an advocate against that for many years in the like mid to late 2000s. And then I just thought, you know what? There's too many of these going around. I'm just going to pivot and start collecting other rookie cards of players. So I did. And now, I'm kind of fake patches. It's kind of like trimmed cards in slabs. We've all probably got a couple of them. If you have any amount of these things, you may or may not. You may have, a couple that are fake patches, trimmed cards, that sort of thing. I know I have 2 fake patches in my collection, and I keep them. I'm never going to move them. Of course, I'll keep them. But where my head goes with this is, first of all, why do we assign so much value to these things? Like, for example, LeBron James, Exquisite RPA, big card in the hobby, one of the biggest, not game used, photo shoot. He wore it in a photo shoot. That's something, right? At least he wore it. But so he puts it on, they take some pictures, and he takes it off. Is that good enough for a card to be worth anywhere from, recently maybe $200,000 up to $2 million? Is that good enough that he wore it for maybe half an hour, maybe an hour? They took some pictures and he took it off. For me, it's not good enough. Not even close. I like my memorabilia to be game worn. The memorabilia in my cards. I'm only talking about cards. This is not about full jerseys or anything like that. This is about only the memorabilia embedded in the cards that we all collect. So for me, what I've sort of, I haven't completely pivoted to this, but where my mind goes is that, listen, people have been asking me, what are you going to collect for Connor Bedard? Well, I'm not a Young Guns guy, so I'm not going to bother with the Young Guns. I like Future Watch autos, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to own a Connor Bedard rookie card. I don't need his rookie card. I'm not saying you don't. People love rookie cards in this hobby. I know that. But for me, I like auto patches. I also like rare inserts. So I might go with a rare insert or two. Probably nothing that would earn the official RC designation, but I love the RY designation the rookie year. Probably pick up a few of those eventually. But what I'm really looking forward to and excited about are his second year auto patches from things like the Cup and SP Authentic limited auto patches. That's what I'm going to wait for, because those will be autographed. Those will most likely be game worn. At least that's what the back of the card will say. We never know. How can you know for sure unless you follow the path of these things? But I'm going to take the card company's word for it on the back, Upper Deck in his second year, that there will be game used memorabilia on his second year Cup cards, SP Authentics. And I see the comments coming in, everybody. I will get to those very soon, I promise. I just want to kind of get through these, this mash full of thoughts going through my mind on this topic. But that's where I'm at. I don't need a rookie year auto patch. Most people do, and that's why the cost is so high on them. That's why they go for so much money. I'm going to pass. I'm going to leave that to all of you guys, everybody else. I'm going to wait for the second year, because not only is it going to be way cheaper, but it's also going to be game used. So limited logos or an honorable numbers or a signature materials, whatever it might be, a limited auto patch from SP Authentic. I'll want it to be on card auto. We'll talk about the different, stickers versus on cards shortly, but that's where I'm at. And yeah, I just don't understand the value. So here, let me share the screen. I'm going to go through a few things that I just found when I was preparing. All right. So let's start with this here. 97 Upper Deck game jersey, Tony Gwynn. I wasn't really too keen on what player, but if you read right in this area, it says a piece of the action, an authentic game worn jersey. This is the first ever. This hockey, basketball, baseball, football, they all had these. I think basketball maybe came out the next year or this year, but they look different. In any event, it says right here on the front of this card is an authentic piece of game-worn jersey from an official 1996 Major League Baseball game. This swatch is from a jersey worn by Tony Gwynn. How much? That's what I want. That's what I want to see on cards today. An official, look at this, a 1996 Major League game worn by Tony Gwynn. Okay, so this is perfect. This is what, and then it says it again down here on an authentic piece of game worn jersey. So this is kind of, to me, the ideal. This is kind of the ideal. Let's keep on going. See what we have. What next I found. Okay, here's a basketball card, 98.99, Karl Malone. And this one, how do we make this bigger? This one says on the front of this card is an authentic piece of game-worn jersey from a jersey worn by Karl Malone. We hope you enjoy it. Well, that's pretty good too. A jersey worn by Karl Malone. Okay. Next up, we have a 1999. So now we're a couple years later. Game Jersey Series baseball card. Darren Erstad. On the front of this card is an authentic piece of game-worn jersey worn by Darren Erstad in an official Major League Baseball game. We hope you enjoy. So really good. Doesn't tell you the year, but it tells you Major League Baseball game worn by the player on the front of the card. It's important to me that the back of the card tells me who the player was, not just that the card is that player's card. I want them to deliberately tell us that the jersey was worn by the player who also happens to be the subject matter of the card. All right, let's go forward about 5 years now. Here is a Donruss Elite 2003 Hideo Nomo throwback threads. Turn this one over. Oh, look at this. This is amazing. The enclosed piece of jersey was cut from an authentic jersey personally worn by Hideo Nomo in an official Major League Baseball game and was obtained and is guaranteed by Donruss. And then it says right here in this little text, it says, this is a photo of the actual jersey from which the swatch was taken. So that is above and beyond. I don't know if the companies have the controls in place to track this anymore, but back then, Donruss did. And to me, this is even better than what we saw in 96, 97. They're showing you a picture of it. I talked to Upper Deck about this years ago. They said this is very difficult to do because they take, they have different memorabilia sources for each player and they all go into a bin and then they don't really track which jersey it came from. But to me, 93 Donruss Elite throwback threads, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate documentation, certification of what that is. And again, we are assuming that this is all true, which is another issue for another day. I don't want to get into that because we just don't know. All right. 03, and I think these are mostly in chronological order. 0304, exquisite Michael Jordan. Let's have a look at the back of this one. This one says, it's really blurry. On the front of this card is an authentic piece of patch from a jersey worn by Michael Jordan in an NBA game. All right, so pretty good. Worn by Jordan in an official NBA game. To me, that's good enough. That meets my standard right there. This one, so this is 0506 the Cup, Ryan Getzlaf. And this one, this is photo shoot. It says right there, an authentic piece of patch from a jersey worn by Ryan Getzlaf in a photo shoot. So 2005 the Cup, first year of Cup. This is where they start to go with the photo shoots. And I do believe that from this year, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, and one other player, Mikko Koivu, are game worn, which is pretty cool for those 3 of 80 rookie cards. Here's a Chris Paul SP Authentic. And we'll just do a few more of these guys. And then we'll skip to the real modern stuff. But this one is a photo shoot again, 2005 photo shoot. So how do you guys feel about photo shoot jersey pieces? For me, I'm not interested. I don't know that I have a single non-game worn memorabilia card in my collection anymore. I don't know that I'll ever have one again. And listen, there is something to be said for the fact that, what they're doing is they're using the real estate on the card. We've got 8.25 square inches of real estate to fill up with design elements, whether it's foil or photo or, memorabilia, manufactured patches. By using these photo shoot patches, they're simply adding and it is nice. They are nice. It allows you to differentiate between the different ones. Some have 1 color, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors, whatever, depending on the jersey, the team. So it's a design element. That's why I don't have anything against manufactured patches that are completely not supposed to be a knockoff of an actual jersey. I have nothing against a manufactured patch. It's a design element. If you don't like them, don't collect them. But to me, that's not something that's really in the same discussion as what we're here talking about now. So, all right, I'm going to skip forward now to some of the more modern stuff, which I found a lot of it here on PWCC. What I did is I went to PWCC and I sorted by, I went to their historical sales and I searched, my search was rookie patch auto, and I sorted by highest price. And right away, these 4 cards, their highest price cards ever sold, none of them are game worn. They're all photo shoot. All of these are photo shoot. I think all those are photo shoot. Photo shoot. All the most expensive cards are not game worn. And I might be wrong about some of these. So, please do your own study yourself until you get to flawless. Like the 3rd most expensive Panini product, I think, behind National Treasures and Immaculate. But Flawless has game worn. So let's have a look at some of these quickly. Luka NTRPA. Luka NTRPA is, and these ones, right here, the enclosed player worn material. So now I don't know if they wore it at a photo shoot. I don't know if they wore it on the court. I don't know if he wore it for literally put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. I don't know. That tells me nothing. It also doesn't tell me what player wore it. I think that's an issue. Doesn't tell me who the player was. There's nothing on this card that tells you that the enclosed player worn material was player worn by the player on the card. To me, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. Okay, next up is the Immaculate, Luka Immaculate. Let's have a look at this one. The enclosed player worn material. Okay, Immaculate, very expensive product. Beautiful product, don't get me wrong. And then you've got Flawless Luka card, a Flawless Luka. Let's turn this one over. And this one says the enclosed game worn material and autograph are guaranteed by Panini. So it's game worn. But listen, the word game worn, that could mean it was game worn by an employee of Panini at a pickup game. That's game worn. It doesn't tell me it was NBA game worn. It doesn't tell me it was game worn by Luka Doncic. It just says game worn. And we tend to associate that with good, that being good. I want to know who wore that piece of memorabilia. And I don't know why they don't tell us this. And that they used to tell us this. The card companies used to tell us this, and they don't tell us this anymore. which tells me that they just don't know. Tells me that they don't know. It's a liability issue, and it's one that I'm certainly not comfortable putting my hard-earned money into. Here's the Luca NT. This is the one that sold for $3.12 million. And just to be certain, this one, the enclosed player-worn material. What player and where did he wear it? What player and where did he wear it? Or she wear it? Not good enough for this collector here. Maybe it's good enough for you guys, and that's fine. Here's a LeBron, just to show you the back of the LeBron, the most expensive RPA. Photo shoot, worn at a photo shoot. Okay, by LeBron James. Well, that's better than this player worn stuff. By LeBron James at a photo shoot. I'm good with that. At least I know what it is. At least they're telling us what it is in that case. Still not something for my collection, but here's a very expensive card, one of the most expensive sales of a card ever. The enclosed player worn material. Again, no association between the material and the player on the card, but it's player worn. Are we supposed to assume that they mean the player on the card? I think we are, but then why don't they tell us that? Why don't they tell us? And here's flawless. Here's the flawless. I think we talked about this one enclosed game worn material. All right. What else did I bring up here? And then after these two, here's the cross. Piece of patch from a jersey worn by Sidney Crosby in an official NHL game. That's great. That is good enough for me right there. That's all I need to see on the back of my memorabilia cards. And then an 09 exquisite Michael Jordan flashback. Great card. Great card right here. I think this says this very similar to that last Crosby card. Certified to us as having been used in an official NBA game, and the autograph was signed in the present. So official NBA game. That's good enough for me. I don't care what, by Michael Jordan. I don't care if it's an all-star game. As long as it's an official NBA game and he wore it, that's good enough for me. Okay. So my plan, the way I collect now, no RPAs for me, unless maybe it's the right player and it says game worn in an NHL game by that player. If they don't tell me who the player is in the disclaimer, in the like COA on the back of the card, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to own it. I'm not going to collect it. That's why I like second year, third year, fourth year RPAs. For me, the second year auto patch game worn is better than the rookie year. We don't know what we put on this card personally, but the hobby loves to dump money into this mysterious stuff. And that's on everybody. It's buy what you like, I guess. Buy what you like. All right, I'm going to go to comments, see what you guys think of all this. What's going on, Jeremy? Fallow 5-ball. Mike Petty. Let's start with breaks and Xmas rack packs. We recognize they are often fake. Rippin', what's up, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. Welcome to the show. Hobby Champs says having some drinks at the holiday party. Enjoy your holiday party. Mike Petty says they are associated with fake jerseys from China for me. Yeah, that just might be it. I don't know. I don't think listen, that's plausible. The disclaimers on the back don't say they're not from China, so they might be. Mike says we're getting screwed. That's what they are getting. Maybe. But listen, I'm not going to say what they are because I don't know. I don't know what they are exactly. I just know what they are not telling me they are. And what they're not telling me they are is what I want. Therefore, I'm not going to buy them. What's up, Curmudgeon? Good to see you. Diamond Dog says the worst part about them is even if they are just meaningless cuts, the least they could do is make it complement the design of the card. Nothing worse than a napkin patch, a one color. Yeah, true, but they do have to use the whole jersey. So that to me, I get it, but it's also part of it. It's just part of it. Chris says, I want game used. Yeah, same here. Diamond Dog, if not gamer player worn, make the cut complement the card. Same comment. Chris says, what about Babe Ruth 100K? The check sells for 8 to 10. You're talking about a full jersey, I think, or a full uniform maybe. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Chris, exactly. Tampa says, I've gone game worn or nothing. Me too. Travis says, good points. Premier mega patches and supreme patches are a few of the only game used produced these days. Yeah, in hockey, that's right. Upper Deck Premier, Upper Deck SP game used. Those are game worn. Like, those are awesome. And they sell for cheap. Well, some of them do. those to me are like, that's good stuff. It's game worn. So much better than non-game worn. Diamond Dog says if the card is low print and the patch complements the design, it can be authenticity pleasing. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what I said before. They're a design element at that point, but that's all they are. To me, it's the same thing as adding foil to a card or adding some graphic or some like scope stock pattern or something. It's just a design element of that at that point. Nothing more. Nothing more. Nothing more. To me, yes, Chris, Upper Deck did it right in the 90s. Mike Petty says, Tony Gwynn, no more war than the Fred Gwynn. Sorry, I don't understand that, Mike Petty. Diamond Dog says, I love that Topps tracks some of them. I pulled the 101 Alex Bregman for the QR code. Tells me what games he wore. See, that's perfect. That's awesome. Rob Gardner, I'm totally with you about game used memorabilia and cards. Any rationale why game used basketball is worth insanely more than football or hockey? Is game worn football and hockey a bargain? I think it's just that the basketball market is its own beast. That's really all I can say to that. Bleeding Blue says the fact that Upper Deck has a product called SP Game Used when hardly any of the enclosed materials has actually been game used is criminal. Well, I don't know if it's, is it criminal? Hi, Leighton. I see Leighton in the back. We'll bring you out in a second. Is it criminal? I don't know if it's criminal, but I guess it is misleading, Bleeding Blue. I can agree that it is misleading. There is game use stuff in there, but there is stuff that is not. That's for sure. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that either. Adam Crawford says 96 game jersey cards are awesome. I can't believe how cheap they are in hockey. No doubt. I got that set. I'm glad I do. And I think it's amazing. Hockey Cardboard says, what year and set had the first jersey card? 96. 96 Upper Deck did. Hockey Cardboard. 96 Upper Deck. Tampa says the absolute worst is not from any specific game, event, or season. Right. It doesn't even tell you it's from a player. Like that to me is like we are suckers. We are suckers buying that stuff to me. Travis says, talking about SP Game Used, borderline false advertising. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. The mascot dodgeball pieces are insulting. Well, it is something. It is. Mike Nanya, game used or nothing. Diamond Dog, exactly why the napkins are the absolute worst of all version. Hey, I prefer a game-worn napkin patch to a non-game worn patch. Personally, I want game used. To me, game used is cool. Those things were on the ice and in the game. Jake Dahl, I only get game worn, game used. Adam Crawford, the RP at a 99 brand is so important in the hobby that it actually doesn't bother me if they are game used or not. I prefer them to be, but it won't stop me from buying them. That's where, okay, so I have to speak to this for a second. Adam, I think that's going to change. I think over time, the hobby's going to realize that the RPA brand at a 99 isn't as important as we think it is today, because the P in RPA is just another design element. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know that I'm not buying them anymore, so I'm not contributing to the importance of them. But other people are. Other people are for sure. Sean Red says 0304 Upper Deck Premier Eric Stahl was the first photo shoot card he ever saw. Tampa says people have been peeling the patches out of cards. Yeah, patch faking has been a problem since the early 2000s, really, since the early 2000 SP Authentic football set. I think was the first one I ever saw it happen to. Diamond Dog says if the patch isn't game worn, it doesn't deserve a premium. I somewhat agree. Mike Petty says if you can't figure it out by now, this is a scam. You need to have your head examined. Oh my God, people are just blithering morons. Well, there are people that don't care. Some people don't care. I think they will start to care more in time. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Tons more comments, but we're going to bring Leighton on. We're going to see what he had. Let's bring him out. Leighton, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So I did have a guest lined up for tonight originally, everybody. And that guest let me know yesterday that they weren't able to make it. And so I just said, all right, you know what? We'll do a solo episode. And so I don't have anybody coming with a question for you, but you've been here in the last little bit. You saw the topics that we were going to talk about. What came to mind for you on all this, Leighton?
Well, listen, I think to each their own. I think what's wonderful is if you feel like buying a patch card and it doesn't matter if it's from a game or not, I think that's great. If you think that you're a little bit more sophisticated and you've decided with your budget that you're going to only go for, you know, if you're going to buy patch cards, that you want to make sure that they're from a particular game, or they're definitely from a season, and they're definitely at the very least worn. You know, I could see the argument for that as well. I think the thing that was most interesting was talking about the different price points across the sports. For example, you were saying basketball is quote unquote a beast. I think that means that that's a wonderful opportunity. If like you're a baseball collector, I was just doing the lunch crew with Chris Gilmore earlier this week, and he was showing off like a Carlton Fisk, you know, double. It was like a game used bat, and it had a piece of jersey, albeit not game used, but it was like maybe autographed, and it also had Carlton Fisk on a sticker. It was a $50 card. You know, in basketball that might be $250 or $500, meaning that there's opportunities across these other sports, like not basketball, that you can buy super cool cards, you know, for a very reasonable budget, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I think there is opportunity out there. But you know, what are your, like, for yourself? You've heard me talking and the comments. I made the comment, I prefer a 1-color white napkin game use patch to a 3-color logo patch that is not associated with any particular player, event, game, or season or event. Where do you fall on that?
So in other words, the white, if you will, blank vanilla patch is actually from a game, and you're saying this multicolor patch would not be from a game. Yeah. Oh, it's very fun. I can answer that very quickly. It would be a fun game show to do with you, Jeremy, or something like that, where 5 minutes we just do this back and forth. No doubt in my mind, I would take the piece of history. And therefore, if you could tell by that, of course, I'm going to take the white piece of vanilla, because you have a piece of history in your hands. To be quite frank, and I don't want to disparage anyone who's collecting these multicolored patches that are not from a game, but if I really want, I can go to the store like Dick's Sporting Goods. I can cut whatever you want. I'm not that great with scissors, but I can put it on a piece of cardboard, or, you know, a little index card for you. And like I said, I think it's to each their own. And I know they put out some wonderful cards. But for me, being that I love vintage and I do love sports in general, as you saw before, I had the final on tonight of the NBA, you know, interseason tournament. I just want to have a piece of history. That's what I think.
Me too. I want a piece of the game. I want a piece that was on the ice in a game. You know, then, okay, well, what about a warm-up? There have been cards with warm-up pieces of memorabilia. To me, that's decent, but it's not game worn. It doesn't count towards stats. That's all right. I want the game worn personally. And so, yeah, that's where I fall. That's where I fall as well. Let's now, I want to ask you this next one. We're going to skip ahead to the next topic, but we're going to come back to the last one again. Sticker autos versus on-card autos. Now, I've gotten to a point where I don't think I own a single sticker auto in my collection. Now, I understand why they do them. I get it. It's you know, it makes logistical sense why card companies do use sticker autographs. Some people don't care. Personally, I find it a real convenient place to draw the line and say, I'm only going to buy cards that have on-card autos, because then it's like a money-saving technique in a way. It's controlling my collection, a technique to control the size of it. So I don't need to buy every single card of a player I collect, every autograph, which I don't do anyway. But for me, it's an easy way to eliminate certain cards from my want list. Personally, where do you fall?
Well, listen, I think what you're saying, Jeremy, and I think this is very healthy for collectors. I think this is very healthy very healthy for humans. You're setting a boundary.
Yeah.
And I think for me personally, I would fall where you fall, in that, you know, for example, I collected them before they got super duper popular in the last couple of years, but I was collecting signed rookie cards, and then also, like, you know, 57 Topps basketball, 61 Fleer, and 69 Topps basketball, you know, trying to do the sets, you know, on card. And I couldn't imagine if someone said, hey, you know what, there was a blah, blah, blah leaf repack, and they put a sticker on a 69 Topps basketball card. Like, are you kidding me? There's no way I would buy that. So there's your answer. But I really like, in general, to be fair, right, and I don't want to detract from this because I think it's a wonderful conversation, but I think the whole idea of setting a boundary as a collector is not only going to save you money, but it's actually going to keep you focused And maybe even have a little bit more fun, right? Because there's so much stuff in the industry, no matter who you like. If you like Babe Ruth, if you like Tom Brady, if you like Kirby Puckett, it really doesn't matter who you like. You can buy just an endless supply of that particular person's cards, autographs, memorabilia. And at some point, when is enough enough? So setting boundaries, I think, is very healthy.
Yeah, no, it goes for you can set boundaries the way we're taught, the two topics we've addressed so far tonight, and in many other ways as well, just to control, because this hobby, buying cards, having mail days, bidding on cards, buying at show, it can be it is addictive for a lot of us. So having some set boundaries, I think, is important. That's a whole other discussion. That could be a whole other sort of episode. But I definitely hear you on that. 2023, Leighton, coming to an end here. How do you feel the year went in the hobby overall?
I would say it was like what my son now likes to do at the amusement park. It was like a roller coaster. He loves roller coasters. At this point, he's about to turn 9 the day after Christmas, and he just enjoys the action. And I think for me and many others, excuse me, who are collectors, who enjoy the hobby, who may even do this full-time or part-time, I think a little bit of action, a little bit of up and down is okay. I think there's been a little bit more than my liking, and I'm hoping that next year things just get a little bit more stable, whether it be through consolidation, whether it be through investment in technology across different platforms. I like, for example, what Mascot's doing with card shows. I think that's super cool. So, I'd like to get away from the ups and downs, or at least the extreme ups and downs like you would experience on, one of these roller coasters that go, the loops.
Yeah. So now 2024, right around the corner. Any thoughts on what we might see next year? It's a tough question because no one can see into the future. But what do you think? Are we going to continue on the roller coaster, or are you think you're going to see a more stable hobby overall?
Well, I can't speak to modern as much because it's not really the space that I know. But I do think that for whatever it's worth on that side of things with the whole Fanatics and, Panini situation, I think you're going to see a lot of product produced. So just be aware of a collector of that kind of material, that there's going to be a massive amount of printing happening. So just be careful there. And then as far as prices, whether it be vintage, whether it be a low pop modern card, I think that you're going to see some prices settle, and that as cards come out that are really important, I think you're not going to see as big a swing. At least that's what I'm hoping, so that people are going to feel a little bit more comfortable with the cards that they own, or for the cards that they're going to go out and acquire.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about, and the hobby talks about the market and just the hobby and the overall health of the hobby. You can't address the whole hobby in one statement. Like, there are so many, the hobby is cut up into so many different segments. You can't, vintage could go one way and modern can go the other way. And all of a sudden this past year, we saw vintage autograph cards, like Hall of Fame autograph cards, just kind of become all the rage for a lot of people. Some people don't care. There's lots of modern collectors that don't collect vintage cards. There's vintage collectors that don't collect modern. And a lot of the commentary that I see on the hobby is based on the biggest cards in the hobby, and a lot of it is modern. A lot of it is really modern stuff. But that's not what everybody collects. The hobby doesn't only exist on, let's say, Instagram. It's a lot bigger than just Instagram. So don't let just what you see and hear on YouTube or on whatever social media platform that you spend most time on, don't let those narratives kind of brainwash you into thinking that that's the way the whole hobby is. There's a lot of the hobby that you're not seeing on these platforms. I think it's just bigger than we think it is. So any sort of statement you see out there that, the indices are down. Well, the indices, they're only comprised of 100 cards, let's say, or 30 or 50 or 250. How many cards have there been? Billions by now. So it's a much bigger population than just the most important cards. But they do provide some guidance. They do provide some guidance for sure. So, okay, couple of comments quick, Leighton, before. Yeah, first of all, because we had someone where to go. Here it is. Dan's Vintage. Just want to say, hey, Leighton. So,
hey, Dan.
Hey, there you go. There you go. And there was one other one I saw somewhere. I got too many comments to sort through right now, so I may not be able to. Oh, right here, Dan's Vintage again. Here he says that I thought it was going to be a buyer's market at my last big show, but the Philly show was no bargain for vintage. And we're hearing a lot about buyers paying 70-80% of comps. Sellers of certain cards don't. Number one, they're not going to sell for 70-80% of comps, and some people just don't care what comps are. And I've said it 100 times, Leighton. If the whole market only transacted a comp, there'd be no movement. So comps are guiding. They're something to consider, but they're not the end all be all. That's for sure. That's for sure. Anything else you wanted to you got on your mind tonight?
Yeah, well, listen, you mentioned a couple of things, and I briefly wanted to say the first thing that came to mind is, be cognizant or careful of hobby peer pressure, right? So you're talking about this whole notion that if you see it on Instagram, if you see it on Facebook, well, that's what's going on, in the entire hobby. And I can tell you firsthand from the Philly show, we were by, exhibiting our booth, we were by several folks who were selling like 50-cent to $10 cards, very active booths. I didn't pay attention as to, did I see cash flying out? Were they trying to trade for them? But collectors were like, happy to go through boxes and boxes of cards. It could be ungraded. It could be slabs. It seemed to me that it didn't really matter. And what I'm trying to say is, Jeremy, you're right. You're not going to really see, other than ComC probably, dollar cards, $2 cards transacted on Instagram. They don't get sold on Facebook. But if you think about those cards are going somewhere, and as much as ComC has like 30 million or 40 million cards, there's actually a lot more. So you're right. There's this whole, group of folks that are collecting that, make sure that they don't get left out of the discussion because we are here on either YouTube or Instagram, whatever the case may be. And, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
I mean, listen, over the past week, I've picked up like 20 cards on ComC for, no more than $12, filling in some cool insert sets that I was working on, just that I realized, you know what, let me go grab those now. I got some money in my account. So, and I'm probably not going to ever show those because they're binder cards for me, that's just the way I organize them. Here's a question from Bobby Burrell. Leighton, how do you feel about the Babe Ruth, the 1914 Baltimore News $7.2 million sale?
I have a great answer. If I had 7.3 or 7.4 million, I'd own it. But I don't. I'd love to have bought it. I do think it's a great card. People talked about the grade of it. Did that impact, or did the price become impacted because it didn't look like a strong 3? Let's be candid, right? If you're talking of $7 million, you want to own the card, I would imagine, because of the rarity. And to be fair, even if you don't think it's a strong 3, it was still a great card in terms of the 10 or so that are in existence that are known. It is one of the better condition examples. So I think it was really healthy for the hobby. Believe me, when I graduated Rutgers College in 2000, the notion that a 1914 Baltimore News Ruth would sell for $7.2 million 23 years later, it was probably not something I would have believed. So I think it's really good for the hobby.
Were you even aware of the card back then?
I think I was,
yeah,
because I was a vintage nerd, but I didn't think I would, ever be able to see one sold. It was really rare. It was almost like reading, like a myth about Paul Bunyan. Is it a real? Is my point.
Here's another question that came into you from Chris C. This is a fun question. Leighton, do you feel low-end vintage is still better to own than no vintage at all? I can't afford the 5 or 6 50s grades. So what do you think?
Oh, sure. So, just purely from at least what I see on the market, my recommendation for anyone that wants to buy, and I know we use these cards often for vintage breaks as giveaways and bonuses, so I kind of know the price point and the grade. Like a 68 Clemente and a 4, a 64 Clemente and a 64 Koufax and a 4, meaning tops. These are cards that are about $100-ish graded. And I would tell you that I've handled a lot of them. So if you're going to take your hard-earned money, and I totally respect your question, and I get it, and I have plenty of like amazing $100 cards in my collection, believe me, that I love and I wouldn't sell. Look for ones that are centered, because my experience has shown me that literally prior to 77, 79, you know, 1977, 1979, any card that you want to buy that's a key vintage card, it really doesn't matter the grade. It's actually much more difficult to find centered than you think. So, for example, take a $100 vintage off grade, meaning 4-ish vintage star that's slabbed. I would even pay $120, $130, $140 for that same example, but if it was centered, because my experience has shown me that it's much more difficult to find. And if you decide to go resell, I can tell you firsthand, I've had people sell me their collections. If you compile, call it your top 100, your top 10, whatever the number is, and every single card is centered, I guarantee you a collector, a dealer such as myself, an investor, frankly, any auction house, there isn't going to be a single person that wouldn't want your collection. Meaning, even though they're only $100 cards, there's plenty of auction houses that sell $100, $150 cards. So take the time, do your research, and try to buy the best example for that particular grade you can afford.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a great answer to Chris's question is yes, it's still better to own it than to own low end than none at all. Because if by low end, we're going by the grade on the slab, then find yourself a high end low grade card and you kind of beat the system that way. That's how I would put it. I want to do one more question for you here. A follow-up to the Babe Ruth from Bobby, who says, but not a Ruth rookie as professed. So I don't know, like 1914, as far as I know, that's his earliest card.
It is. Some people claim, Jerry, that it's not a card. It was issued in newspapers, meaning like it was never issued in a pack. You never had to buy a pack of cigarettes. You never had to buy a pack of cards. And I'm not going to argue one way or the other. Bobby is a fantastic wealth of hobby knowledge, particularly in hockey. And it's an interesting philosophical discussion. But I'm just telling you that if I had the money and unlimited funds, I would have been happy to be the next bidder. I don't care what you call that card.
Yeah.
To me, it's a piece of history. And so, that's where I fall on that.
Yeah. And to me, the rookie card rules, like the way the card was distributed, i.e. the Star Jordan, those aren't as important to me now as they were when I first, in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was really into rookie cards. So to me, that is as good as a rookie card would be. To me, it checks the boxes for me nowadays. I don't care that some people don't say it's an RC. To me, if it's his oldest cardboard card, if it's his oldest card on cardboard within a major league team, to me, that's his rookie card. To me, it's his rookie card, even though it didn't come out of a pack or anything. Just like the Star Jordan, to me, is now his rookie card, and the 86 Fleer is his first Fleer card, just like the 52 Mantle isn't a rookie. I know it's a different case because both Topps and Bowman came out of packs, but it's we're never going to have consensus on all this stuff, really. So Bobby says it's a schedule. It's a schedule on a card. So
yep.
To me, it's still a card, but it is a schedule as well. Just like some cards had advertisements on the back of them. Okay, lots of stuff on we're going tons of directions here. Leighton, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you as always, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, guys. Take care, Leighton. All right, everybody. I'm going to go back to the comments. I got a lot to get through here, so I'm just going to run through some of them. Tampa here said that National Treasures and Flawless are filled with non-game used patches now. NT and Flawless should be all game used or don't even make it. Yeah, but that's just not reasonable. Like, that's just not feasible for them. They're not going to do that. So we have to get past that. I feel, Tampa, that position is just kind of, you're just, as they say, peeing into the wind sort of thing. That's not going to change. Lapper, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Mike Nunya says that the Lebrano 304 Exquisite logo, limited logos, is game used. Wonder why they couldn't use it for the RPA. Yeah, I don't remember why, but you make a good point. Miss Drew says, when I got back into collecting, it took a while to learn that there was a difference between game worn, player worn, and not associated. Very important to read the back of these cards, for sure. For the amount of money they charge for the wax, these should all be game used. I don't agree with that. I'll tell you why, because we don't, there are a lot of costs that go into making these cards, and they have to make their margins and pay their rent and pay their staff. So I don't agree with that. But at the same time, I'm not going to buy the stuff that isn't. So, but I just understand in business that is not a reasonable demand for us to make as a hobby. Doesn't mean we're not going to make it, but I just don't think that it's a reasonable one if you understood how the, just the whole P&L works for these products. What's up, Cage Lawyer Minion? Chris C says, Jeremy, do you think if we had mandatory print runs, we could actually prove we are indeed in the second junk wax era? Fanatics will have to print more to 10x the hobby. Very little from this era will hold value. I agree with the last part of that comment. And I don't know, because we don't know what the print runs were in the early 90s. So even if we know that they're making, 1 million of each card now, what were they making in the early 90s? 500,000, 1 million, or 20 million? I'm not sure. Tough question. A good one, but a tough one. If I'm forced to give an answer, though, I don't know. I think it's different now. Back then, it was like 1 set per year per company for the most part. Now it's like 20. So it's just like we're in a different era. It's a different era. The junk wax era is its own. I think we're in the insert and parallel era. It's something different. Benny Cromwell, welcome to the show. Rage is here. What's going on, Rage? Good to see you. Happy to see you having fun with your daughter at her Girl Scouts. Willie T says, how about the mascot cards with game used pieces of dodgeballs? Upper Deck needs to step it up. Well, listen, Upper Deck can't win, right? They're coming up with different things, and I don't collect mascots. So I understand, but it is something different, and I like that they're innovating. Even though I know that I've seen a lot of people complain or just express their dissatisfaction with those right there. Rage says, if we had the competition of brands from the 90s and early 2000s, these companies would be forced to make those top tier quality squares of cardboard royalty we all know and love today. Yeah, competition is good for business, or good for the market in general, for sure. Collectors World Fargo. Just some topics we're talking about today. Collectors World wants to know what's bringing on this rant. Nothing. Just that I've been talking offline with people about, it all started for me. People were saying, what are you going to collect for Connor Bedard? Are you going to collect his Young Guns, his SP Authentic? Are you going to collect his Cup RPA? And I said, no, I'm going to wait for his second year auto patches where the patches are game used. That's kind of what started it for me. Collectors World Fargo. Rage says game worn or used, period, for me as well. Exactly. Rob Sonier says, if I have to choose rookie jersey non-game used versus third year jersey game used, I'll choose the rookie card non-game used all day long. See, I won't. I'll pick a different rookie card. There's so many rookie cards. I'll pick a different rookie card besides one with memorabilia that doesn't mean anything to me. And then I'll pick up a game used piece from later on. Triple V says, been picking up older game used only combo relics, even low numbered stuff for a reasonable price. Ted Williams, Tris Speaker, Rogers Hornsby, and others. Yeah, I mean that stuff's gonna run out, right? For sure. Mike Nunya, I collect cards, not stickers. Talking about sticker autos. Yeah, that's where I'm at now too. Colin Murray, what's going on? Todd McDonald, good evening. Yeah, good to see you, Todd. Jeff Hart says, I think having a QR code or identification that you can get more info on the patch is a great idea. I agree with that, Jeff. I just don't know that they have the capacity to do that anymore. I don't know. Ziggy No, welcome to the show. What's going on? The Essential Credential says they have their place in deep player collections. Al will probably agree with me here, as we have some really nice sticker auto designs to choose from. If the design complements the sticker, I'm in. Fair comment, Matt. I mean, I have no problem with that. I'm going to draw the boundary there for myself, though. The professor is here. Good evening, Professor. Greg Cohn from Leaf Trading Cards says, 2024 will most likely be even more wild than 2023. He did correct that typo. Yeah, okay, Greg. That's been the pattern. So why not, right? He goes on to say, no Summit this year, no Mint Collective. Who fills those gaps? Well, I mean, Fanatics Events is the new player on the scene. Perhaps they have something up their sleeve that we'll find out about soon. I don't know. Jeff Hart says, I think the events will bring a lot more to the table that card shows do now to attract new collectors. Yeah, very, very possible for sure. All right, so I think we've exhausted the game used versus game worn versus not associated with any player or event. So we've also now covered off sticker versus on-card autos. Again, these are, for me, I have found these to be really convenient places to, as Leighton said, draw some boundaries and just not have to add those. There's enough guys. Like I look at online marketplaces all the time, and there's enough cards that I want to add to my collection. Like just today, guys, just today, a buddy of mine puts a post in a group chat I'm in. He's like making these available. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I want them. Spent an hour and a half on the phone with him coming up with making a deal. And we haven't solidified the deal yet. And he's being very patient with me, but I'm not really in a place where I want to be spending money on cards right now. I've got other financial obligations. And, of that, like I'll pick up the odd card. Sure. But we're talking, 4 figures here. But then I think to myself, these opportunities don't always come up and I can probably make it happen. So there's always cards that I'm going to want to acquire. I think everybody watching feels the same way. So where do we draw the line? Where do you guys draw the line? I mean, if you just collect one player, it's different. So we have a lot of player collectors out there. If you only collect one player, you've drawn the boundary that is like your boundaries are huge. You've got a very small piece of the hobby that you actually are interested in collecting, and you've eliminated, 99.99% of the cards in the hobby. More. You've eliminated more than that. You've eliminated almost 100% of the cards in the hobby, and minus a small fraction. So it's easier for you if you're a player collector to not have to draw the line and say, I'm good with sticker autos. I'm good with non-game use patches and those sorts of things. And I get that. That makes good sense to me for sure. Diamond Dog here says, if the card makes you happy, the rules unwritten, hobby card rules can eat rocks. Yeah, if the card makes you happy, who cares? That's the number one rule right there. If you like, buy what you like, collect what you like. Number one rule. Everything else comes after that, for sure. When you like a lot, though, when you can't afford to buy what you like because you like too much, like me, that's where you got to draw the line. You have to have boundaries for sure. So maybe boundaries override collect what you like, because or maybe they override buy what you like because you can't afford to buy everything. Brendan Ryan says it starts with throwing out the rookie card rules and ends praising unlicensed cards. Tread carefully, my man. I mean, listen, I just bought some unlicensed cards from a one-off guy, who made these cards. He showed them to me at Expo, and I just ordered 5 of them from him because I think they look cool. That's it. They're not expensive. So I'm not against unlicensed cards. We have Greg Cohn from Leaf Trading Cards in the chat right now. And, Leaf's done some really great things. And that Leaf has an intense group of followers right now. There's this newish content creator out there who people are talking about. I've watched a few of his videos. What's his name? SVC. And if he catches wind of this, I apologize that I don't remember the order of your initials or of your channel, but it's CVS or CSV or SVC, something like that. Those are the 3 letters. This guy, first of all, great YouTube channel. Tells it like it is, doesn't care, just tells it like it is. He's very easy to watch. But in any event, he loves Leaf and Wild Card. He loves it. He's in it. He's buying and selling, making money. And he loves it. He sees a lot of potential in those. So a lot of people are buying that stuff. I have no problem with unlicensed cards. Do I buy many? No, I don't buy many, but I support it. I think it's fine. Matthew in the house says, hey, folks, personally, The is it or is it not a rookie card isn't a particularly interesting conversation. What looks nicer, that's where I am. Yeah, I get that. For me, I want the rookie card most of the time, and if not all the time. But if the rookie card isn't very nice, I might add a later card as well. But I definitely, if a player is going to be in my collection, I want their rookie card personally. Vintage. I'm talking vintage. I'm not talking ultra modern. I really am not interested in ultra modern rookie cards at all. I don't have many. I'll take an insert, a rookie year insert, but a rookie card doesn't do it for me anymore. Wild card says, is game worn different than game used? I don't think so. Wild card, I think they mean the exact same thing. I saw that comment earlier and I kind of just read it out. But to me, I think it's the exact same thing. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know what I might be missing right there. Mark Santucci, welcome to the show. No, I do not have any 72 Summit set cards. Adam Crawford says, print run doesn't matter anymore. In the serial number era, they can print as much as they want. A 1-on-1 is even cooler if there was 1 million base cards printed. Yeah, I mean, it's anything that's mass produced, you're not going to find in my collection modern wise. And even well, yeah, vintage, I don't mind. I mean, listen, if you want to have a Reggie Jackson rookie card in your collection, it's mass produced. So you have to accept that. Orlando says vintage slab era over 15 million cards encapsulated this year. Junk slab era. I think that makes sense to me. A name for the era that we're in now. But does that then include all these inserts and parallels? Like, what about the insert and parallel era or the parallel era? Like with Panini with all the parallels. Something there maybe. But I hear you, Orlando. That makes sense to me. And by the way, I liked your post today with your like vintage garage. That was a really nice picture. Goes on to say, grade to sell for me. Most of my collection is raw. So buying, graded cards for selling. Diamond Dog says, that's one part about swimming in the shallow end of the cards. Lack the FOMO elements, easier to maintain a budget. Yeah, definitely easier to maintain a budget there. Jeff Hart says, I sold every sticker auto I had owned. On card only for me going forward. Yep. Fist bump right there on that for me as well. But you're not, some athletes, some celebrities, you're not going to find on card autos. So a lot of stuff that Leaf does only comes with sticker autos. So then you just have to decide if you want the auto or not at that point. Orlando says the PSA 9s for modern base cards are junk slab cards. Yeah, it depends on the gem rate, right? Really comes down to what the gem rate. Chrissy then says, but so are PSA 10s if they're mass printed. Yeah, I mean, if there's 25,000 of a card, is there something enticing about that anymore? I mean, if you love the card, then sure there is. So to each their own when it comes to that stuff, for sure. Wow, you guys are on fire tonight. Well, welcome everybody to the show. Hey, I always hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. That'd be great. Brendan Rice says SCV sports card. That's it. SCV. Thank you, Brendan, for clarifying the order. I knew I had the letters. Yeah, it is. He's I can watch that guy, no problem, for sure. He's entertaining, and he just tells it like it is, which I greatly appreciate. And he just doesn't care what anybody thinks about what he does or says. So good on him. Good on him. I heard him say that he's mature enough to understand how immature he is, but he's actually a pretty mature guy. He's interesting with a whiteboard. Yes. Triple V says, we all have silly hobby rules we stubbornly adhere to. I pick up Bonehead Merkle cards for fun. Yeah. Professor says some unlicensed card creators are gaining a following under the brand category of art creators. Yeah, that's different though. That's a different thing. I think it's similar, Professor. Similar, but different. It's kind of, I look at it as, is it though? I mean, they're all artists. Anyone who's creating a card is somewhat of an artist. I guess it just depends. Are you taking another card? Are you taking parts of other cards to create new cards? Are you painting on existing cards? Or are you coming up with a brand new design, brand new theme all by yourself? I'm not sure. Diamond Dog says, is there any guilt to be felt if you catch an auction on a card you wouldn't have sold so low if the listing had more effort put into it? No, nothing to be. Buy the card. If you're the highest bidder, you're the highest bidder. Just make sure you pay. Just make sure you're going to pay for it. Mark Santucci. No, I was talking about second year modern cards with memorabilia. Nothing to do with vintage. When I talk about going for like a second year Connor Bedard card. 90s inserts are still the best. So many amazing cards, says Chris C. Yeah, like it. Cholo Dolo says about the price for the cup. It feels like the product is being watered down and the price only keeps increasing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He says $1,099 is extreme for 6 cards. What the market will bear. I won't be buying them. I don't buy. I don't crack wax. It's just not. It doesn't make sense for me from a financial perspective. I don't get enough enjoyment out of cracking wax to justify the cost. I haven't for over 10 years. So, but I'm not going to tell people how to spend their money. I don't, and if I have in the past, I apologize, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Professor says, we cannot forget that a large number of cards being graded are not sports cards. That's definitely a worthwhile point. Dan says, I should have SCV on my show. That would be a great hour. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. He seems like a pretty interesting fellow, for sure. Professor says, there's an interesting upcoming phenomena. Leaf is coming out with Legends of Wrestling, unlicensed The Rock cards. We'll see how it does. Yeah, we'll see how it does. Jim Hansen, welcome to the show, says, it makes no financial sense to grade junk wax era or modern base cards. Let's talk art cards. You own some, correct? I have a couple of art cards. Yes, I do. I do have a couple art cards in my collection. And I don't know, like the professor said, is an art card, like, is an unlicensed card producer an art card? Like, I don't think anyone's going to say that Leaf are doing art cards, although their new what's it called? Those sort of Japanese anime style cards are kind of art cards, but they're also completely original, and Leaf's a big card company. So yeah. Good evening, Clay Phillips. What's going on? Welcome to the show. Greg Cohn says Leaf got the Rock. Sweet. Yeah, well, you'd know, Greg. You would definitely know. Mark Santucci wants to know who's going to the Cleveland National next year. Daniel A says, what are we collecting today? What we are collecting today may not be what we are collecting tomorrow. That's the beauty. There are so many options, and we're always learning. That's a great point right there. I'm always refining my path in this hobby, like in what I collect, always refining my what interests me, coming out, finding new things that interest me. You know, I'll take a break from collecting cards from a certain set for years, and then I'll be like, oh, then the light is lit, and I'm like, I'm going to start collecting those cards again. Travis says, I agree. My worry is the price will deter people from opening the product, and I can't get singles of my. And no, don't worry, Travis. They will get opened. The cup will get opened. That's where breakers come in very handy. That's not going to stop it. I don't think that'll stop it. And if it doesn't get opened, then people are going to start to sell it. They'll have to bring down their prices for sure. I think they'll have to. All right, guys. Good stuff. I'm at the bottom of the comments. If I missed your comment, I do apologize. There were a lot there, and I needed to just kind of run through a few of them there. All right. So what's next? I don't know if any of you guys, how many of you are on Instagram, but I started this this thing because I saw somebody posted a card, a rare card. I forget which one it is right now, but it was like out of 10, a card that I owned a copy of too. And I made a comment, we're card bros. You know, we both have a copy of this really rare card. So then I said, hey, let me put something on Instagram. Like, hey, find someone who has a rare card. You can define rare that is the same as you, post it up, tag me, and I'll share it. And I had a bunch of people do that. And then somebody else today started one of those like add yours things on Instagram to really, hopefully it'll get some traction. And so I would think I was the first one to re-add mine to that. But I think it's cool, right? Like when I see someone that has a card I have that's rare, I've been doing this for a while. I'll just make the comment, hey, we're card bros on this one because we both have the same card. And, a card out of 10 or a card out of 2, it has to be out of 2 or more. It can't be a 1-on-1. And a card out of 2 to whatever you feel is rare. I would never say you can't. Oh no, you're not Card Bros. The cards out of 500. No, I don't. I mean, whatever you want to do. If you know someone else that has a card out of 500 that you do, and you know you'd say, hey, we're Card Bros. Well, go on Instagram, find that story post and add it. I think it's a fun way to connect with other collectors. So that's all I want to say about Card Bros. Just looking at your comments, guys. So you want to see my top pickups of 2023? Because I have them. And I have them in order. My top 23 pickups of 2023. Professor says it is possible now to have 2 1-of-1. That would count then, Professor, because it's actually not a 1-of-1 at that point. So that would count for Card Bros if you want to include those. And of course, it also applies to Card Sis. You know, we're not an only male. We are male dominated, but we're not a male only hobby. So Card Sis's play as well. Matthew says, let's see some cards. 86. Do you want to be my Card Bro? Go through my Instagram and see if we are. Maybe we already are Card Bros. Maybe we are. Collectors Fargo says Leighton's comment about centered vintage cards is spot on. So hard to find well-centered vintage cards. Yeah, no doubt. Triple V says, let's see them. All right, guys. All right. So, of course, I have reasons for adding all these cards. Some reasons are maybe more interesting than others, but I'll start with cards number 23 and 22. These are cards number 23 and 22. Mark Messier and Marian Hossa. Both Hall of Famers. This is from a set that I've been collecting now for 8 years, I believe, since it came out. It's 2014-15 Upper Deck Masterpieces. And this is there's a few parallels. This parallel set is called the Black Framed Leather Prime Memorabilia. It's 153 cards in the set. And these ones, these ones are both numbered out of 25 on the back. You can see right there. These are numbered out of 25. And like I said, there's 153 cards in the set. They're out of 15, 25, or 35. And I'm down to needing 10 of them. But here's a funny story. This card, I ordered this one on eBay. Doesn't show up for like 2 months. I'm in contact with the seller. We both go to Canada Post. We kind of make our claims. eBay refunds me my purchase. And apparently he got refunded from Canada Post for the card. I go to my post office like 2 weeks ago, and there it is. Literally, I bought the card, I think in July or August, and I got it in like the end of November. Maybe I got it, we're on November. Maybe I got it like between 7 and 10 days ago. I don't remember exactly. So I messaged the seller. I'm like, hey, by the way, the card arrived. He hasn't written back to me yet. So I just want to make sure that he did get reimbursed for it, because I think he did. He also, I think, was a French-speaking person, so it was harder to communicate with him. But I want to make sure. I said, hey, I got the card, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. If he says, well, do you want to pay me for it? Then I will. But if he got paid for it and he doesn't, then I got this for free. Thank you for being reimbursed by eBay. And if they're watching, charge me. I don't care. I got the card. And I really want it because I've been looking out for it for like eight years. And I was super upset when I couldn't find it, when I couldn't get it. So when I thought it was lost to the mail. In any event, because I've been working on this set for so long, I'm down to needing 10 more out of 153. These made my list for my favorite cards of the year. My number 22 and number 23. Number 21, Robin. 1966 Batman Canada. Robin Boy Wonder. Card number 2 from the set. I have the Batman already. This is a PSA 4. It looks like an 8. I don't know what's wrong with it. I can't find anything wrong with it. I don't see any wrinkles or creases. I don't see any corner damage. It's beautifully centered. I don't know why it's a 4. To me, it's an 8. Like it's a near mint card. So I just love the color of it. I just think it's cool. And I have the Batman paired it with the Robin. 1966. All right, that's card number 21. Card number 20 was probably my favorite card I picked up at the Spring Expo in Toronto. The only vintage card, Matthew, that you're going to see here tonight. And it's a 1950 Bowman Otto Graham in a PSA 3.5 holder. Another case of an undergraded card. I bought this off a vendor there. The vendor had recently got the card back and was super upset with the grade. And I was super happy with the grade because he was selling it as like a 3.5. He's like, I don't know why I got it, but I'm not going to send it back in. I don't want to pay them again to grade it. So here's what I want. And he didn't sell it for like a cheap 3.5 based on comps that were out there. And I just love this card. It's not perfect, but to me, it looks like no worse than a 6, maybe even a 7. I've seen worse condition 6s and 7s. Like, there's nothing wrong with this thing. It's got, well, I shouldn't say that. The corner, the lower right corner and the top left corner are less than perfect, but this thing is gorgeous. And I've seen like 8 sell that aren't as nice as this. So the only vintage card that made my list this year, and I love it. I just love everything about this card. Card number 20 and 19 both come from the same set. 1996 Upper Deck Run for the Cup hockey. Both numbered out of 100 on the back. Steve Yzerman and Teemu Selanne. I've got Selanne at 19, my all-time favorite athlete, and Yzerman at number 20. So these are tough cards. These are, 90s grails, if you will. And, oh, you're right, Mookie. Robin is vintage. That's very, very astute. I don't know how that got past me. Yeah, I stand corrected. 2 vintage cards. Thank you, Mookie. Teemu and Steve Yzerman run for the cups. The only 2 run for the cup cards that I own. And, if I put a piece of white paper sort of behind them, you can see that they've got the really cool sort of acetate image of the player. So those are really awesome. And they're tough cards. Number 18 is a Teemu Selanne card from 0506, the Cup. First year of the Cup. And this is the jersey numbered 8 of 10. He is wearing number 13 on this card because he wore 13, then he changed to 8. But there is no 13 on a 10 print run card. So I consider this to be the jersey number, 8 of 10, which he wore for most of his career. It's actually the second copy of this card that I have, but it's a nicer patch, a better number. So it's the one I'm keeping in my set. And it's the first year of the Cup. And I collect Cup base patch parallels from 05 all the way to 2019. I've got about 360 cards total. 20 haven't arrived yet. They're on order, but this makes the list because he's my favorite player. It's jersey numbered and it's 0506 the Cup. So that is number 18. Card number 17 is a 2020 SP Authentic limited auto patch of Sidney Crosby. Just a beautiful game used auto patch, 3-color of Sidney Crosby on card auto, 10 copies made. Like, I don't know. To me, this is beautiful. Like, I love my vintage. I love my 90s inserts, but I also love modern auto patches. And Sidney Crosby to me is like, after Gretzky, he's the guy. So, and I mean, after and since there are, there's Gordie Howe, of course, and Bobby Orr, and also there's Mario Lemieux who's since, but I love this card. Sidney Crosby is having an amazing season right now. He's kind of, him and Ovechkin over the years have always sort of done this. And now it looks like Crosby is elevated above Ovechkin again, just based on performance and what he's doing on the ice. So I love this card. It's beautiful. That's number 17. Card number 16. And listen, the fun thing about doing these lists is that I reserve the right to move these up and down this list at any given time because it's hard. I struggle to put these in any order at all. So card number 16 is this Upper Deck the Cup tribute RPA Luc Robitaille, second highest scoring left winger of all time behind only Alex Ovechkin. I'd never seen this card before. And then I'm at the Expo. My buddy Sam is he's my booth partner. I look in his showcase and there it is in his showcase. I'm like, what? I want that card. And so we did a deal for it on card auto, numbered out of 10, game used patch, beautiful Cup tribute RPA, Luc Robitaille. I have a few of these Cup tribute RPA, so this will go with that quite nicely. All right. I think I'm down to numbers 14 and 13. This is a pair of cards I'm going to show you guys again. They're both from 2013 Fleer Showcase Hockey. One is an Ultra Platinum Medallions, and the other is a Skybox Premium Star Rubies. They are both Wayne Gretzky and Oiler jerseys, and they're both BGS 9.5s. Now, I have the Rubies ranked higher than the Platinum Medallion, even though the Platinum Medallion's out of 25 and the Rubies is out of 50. I am just partial to that Rubies design. Even though there are twice as many out there, I prefer the Rubies to the Platinum Medallion, but I think it's a wonderful pair of post-playing days, rare insert Gretzky cards, and that he's not in LA or the Rangers and he's in Oiler uniform here. I just think these are wonderful cards, and I love them. I love them. What a great pair. I've lost track of where we are for numbers. Let's see. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. All right. Card number 12. Mario Lemieux, exquisite tribute RPA. That is a 3-color. There is some black in there. It's game used out of 25. It's a BGS 9. And I do love this card. I have the Gretzky from the set, and I thought pairing the Gretzky and the Lemieux would be a wonderful pairing. And when I showed them on my Instagram, it's one of my most liked posts of the year. So people do appreciate this as well. And just a great card. Like, I mean, it's a young Mario in that picture, the 03 exquisite RPA design. But again, game used, guys. Game used. Official NHL game. Very happy with that. Card number 11, another Mario. Right here. O-Pee-Chee Premier Remnants out of 5 on-card auto, 4 game used patches in there, 1984 being his draft year. And I love O-Pee-Chee Premier Remnants. They made them for a few years. They're beautiful. This, I think, is just such a beautiful card. Only 5 of them. There are various parallels. There's out of 10, there's out of 15, 25, and so on and so forth. But this one, I traded for this with my buddy. I had bought a Kobe Bryant patch, and I bought it. I loved it, and I show it to him, and he's like, "Oh, you got to trade me that." I'm like, "Oh my, why did I show it to you? Why did I even show it to you? Now you're not going to let me now you're not going to let me keep it." He didn't let me keep it. I traded for that card. All right, where are we at now? Card number 10. This is an amazing card. Peter Forsberg. Probably the best Forsberg card I've ever seen. Limited logos, 2013, game used from an all-star game. All-star patch, all-star picture of him, on-card auto. It's a short print. Limited logos are usually out of 50. This is out of 25. And so, to me, this is, what am I on? 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. My top 10 card right here. I love it. I'll never let it go. I never say never. I've said that before, and I've had to go back on that. I'm not going to say never, but it'll be the last Forsberg card I let go of. I'll tell you that much. So beautiful. So beautiful. And I got to interview him at the Expo last month. And so, he actually, I think I had this card. No, he didn't. I didn't have this card with me, but I gave him a bunch of cards to hold and took a picture of him holding some of his own cards. All right, card number 9. Picked this up at the National. From Chris from Toronto. We did a deal, a dual patch game used Gretzky, Gordie Howe. But look at that Gordie Howe piece. I just love it. Just love it. Numbered out of 35. There are 3 different versions of Gretzky from this year. One is him and Lemieux, one is him and Yari Curry, and one is him and Gordie Howe. There might be more, but I have all 3 of them out of 35. This is the only one graded. I traded for it graded, and I just love this card. I love it. Like, I just look at it and I love this card. So nice. So nice. So card number 8. Now we're going to get into 4 non-hockey cards. And then the final 4 will be hockey cards. So card number 8. Wait, which one is 8? I think I'm going with what I like the looks of better. This is card number 8. Precious Metal Gems, red, Jerry Rice. It's a PSA 5. I've inspected this thing. It's as nice as any 7 I've ever seen in a PMG. So, just like spin the wheel with the grade. It doesn't even matter to me. The edges, the corners are beautiful. Amazing card, probably Jerry Rice's best card next to the green PMG, but I'll be honest, I prefer reds. I prefer the aesthetic of the reds and a beautiful color match here. So this is going to be, now this card, I actually purchased it in 2022, but it didn't land until 2023. And I go by when they land, not when I like make the purchase. So this was a card that I showed on my last year's post on Instagram for my favorite cards of 2022, but I said, this hasn't landed yet. It'll probably show up in my 2023 post, and it will. Jerry Rice, PMG Red. Card number 7. I just like the looks of these better than I do PMGs. They're not worth as much, but I'm not going by value. I'm going by what I like. And what's important to me is this 1998 Fleer Tradition Playmakers Theater Barry Sanders. It's a BGS 8.5. These are numbered to 100 on the back, and which is actually interesting because this is out of 135. It's worth a lot more than this one, but this one's only out of 100. But that's the power of the PMG. Playmakers Theater, though, beautiful, beautiful card. It's like embossed. It's got this effect almost as though the surface is alive and like kind of moves. It's just so nice. Hard to really see it on the screen, but I love this Barry Sanders Playmakers Theater. I have a couple other Playmakers Theaters in my collection, and this goes nicely with them. So Barry Sanders. All right, final 6 cards. 2 basketball cards. Number 6 and 5. I'll show them together. Shaquille O'Neal Ultra Stars Gold and Essential Credentials Future. The Ultra Stars is a PSA 7. The Essential Credentials is a PSA 8. I traded for these at the Mint Collective back in March of this year. It was just a straight up trade deal with Josh Dawson, and couldn't be happier. Two of the top 3 Shaquille O'Neal cards in my Shaq collection, and I probably have my Shaq collection is maybe 10 or 12 cards. Maybe yeah, it's under 15, and these are like I often talk about the Ultra Stars Gold when we see one on MC Mondays or on the PWCC Premiere. And I always say that the 2-dimensional image doesn't do it justice. And you can sort of see here just the effect, like the 3D effect with all the different angles. And this card is it's just beautiful. I don't know. It's one of the most beautiful cards ever made, in my opinion. It's a parallel of another insert called the Ultra Stars. This is the Ultra Stars Gold. These are very, very rare. I'm not sure what the pack odds are, but very rare. And then, of course, the Essential Credentials is the original 97 Shaq. Such a cool card. I love Essential Credentials. All right, final 4. Final 4. Numbers 4 and 3 are my 2 favorite 1990s Gretzky Grails. Yeah, I consider these both Grails. Other 90s Gretzky collectors don't agree with me on, like, I think one of them will fall in the top 10. The other one probably doesn't even fall in their top 10. To me, these are like top 3 for me, both of them. I'll show them together. Well, I'll show the first one. Card number 3, this guy right here. The 97 Sixth Sense Masters the Wizards version. It's die cut. It's got this really cool, like this, like, I don't know what you call that, like stars in the background, and they move around in there. Numbered on the back out of 100, 38 of 100 there. Just such a nice card. So nice in hand. And it's hard to get a really good. The stars sparkle. They literally sparkle. I can tell it's not showing well enough, but they sparkle. Like, this is such a beautiful card. And then my card number 2, my favorite Gretzky card of the 90s is the 1998 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. Numbered on the back out of 100. You can see it right there. This card, I bought this as a PSA 9. And I submitted it to tag grading, and it's actually a Gem Mint 10. And I was so happy with that. Look at this thing. I mean, this thing sparkles. They are beautiful. 98 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractors. And this is the Gretzky. To me, this is the number one Gretzky card from the 90s. I know there's a card out of 50, the grand finale. There's the platinum mirror gold out of 30. I think that's what it is. I'm not a fan of the design of that. Not a fan of the grand finale at all. I just don't like the looks of those cards. This the number one Gretzky card of the 90s. This is like this, and I might be, but I don't think those are my favorites. Those are my favorites. So I don't have the run for the cup, but I have two of my top three, two of my three favorite ones. The run for the cup being the Solani in the eyes I showed earlier. My second favorite card. I can see my connect. All right. Am I? Just gonna my. Am I back? Still pro. Thanks, Mark. Okay, we'll just give it a second, guys. This is going to it's gonna work itself out. It's gonna work itself out. Let me just give this a minute here. What does that mean, Terry? Yes, I'm back, or yes, I'm having problems. Please use more than one word so I really know what you're saying. You are back. Okay, I'm back. I can see I'm back now. Okay, guys. Card number 2. 2006 Upper Deck The Cup dual game-worn shields of Teemu Selanne, my all-time favorite professional athlete, and Paul Kariya, the best player that you can possibly pair him with on a card. This is card number 2. Second year The Cup, game-used shields of Selanne and Kariya. And then card number 1 is 0506 The Cup, game-used shields of Teemu Selanne and Paul Kariya. These are my top 2 cards of the year. They're the only game-used shields of these two guys together. These are cards that I never would have thought I would have found. I didn't find them. They found me. I was walking around the National. I've told the story before, but I was walking around the National this past year, and someone came up to me and said, "Hey, Jeremy, I've got a couple cards you might be interested in." I'm like, "Okay, sure." Thinking hopefully, but like I'm skeptical, right? And he pulls out these 2 cards, and I'm like, "Whoa, what?" Like, yeah, I'm interested. And we made a deal. You know, we had to do it later that night. It was his last night at the show. He met me at the restaurant I was at with a bunch of hockey collectors. Thought I couldn't find my money. Thought I lost it. I was freaking out. And finally, in the one pocket I didn't look, there it was. Found it, thankfully. And we did the deal. And so this guy here is my number 1 card pickup of 2023. First year of the Cup of 506, dual shields, Selanne and Paul Kariya. And to me, those are both of those players. That's their 2 best cards. So pretty happy with those top pickups for me, guys, of 2023. I'm going to go to your comments now. I'm going to go to your comments from the beginning of that. And let's see what you guys had to say. Let's see, I'm just trying to find the top of them here from you guys. All right. So the professor, first of all, says, "Does buying one of your cards at auction make us card bros?" Oh, that's interesting, Professor. That's interesting. That's like a provenance thing, right? We don't own the card at the same time, but you're the adoptive parent of my old card So what are adoptive parents to the natural parents called? I don't know. What is that relationship called? That's what we are. When you move a card to somebody, a card that you loved. If it's a card that you just were into to flip, who cares? But if it's a card that you love, you want to find a good home, then we should have a term for that for sure. Just Handle says, do you think Steve Yzerman or Peachy rookies are undervalued? I mean, a little bit. I think Steve Yzerman is, he's like second tier 80s rookie. First tier is really only Mario Lemieux and maybe Patrick Waugh. I think he's right up there. I think he's at the Patrick Waugh level. He's probably second tier, with first tier being only Mario Lemieux. He sits at the top, and then, you got Messier, you got Yzerman, you got Patrick Waugh. That maybe Ray Bork you throw in there. Mark Santucci, love the Messier. Which uniform do you like? Yeah, I like him. Doesn't matter. Actually, I don't really prefer either for Mark Messier. Daniel says, I always have a nice, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. Justin Bowden, that's what's going on, Justin. What's going on? Matt says, set collecting is so rewarding and requires you to play the long game. Good luck with last time. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Mookie Chill says, undergraded Batman. Totally, Mookie. Totally undergraded. Triple V says, Batman cards are so tough to find centered too. Sweet find. Thank you so much. I do love it. Matthew says, 1950 Bowman football is stunning. Yeah, it's such a nice card. Matthew says, thank you for grading, not for caring about eye appeal. Thank you, grading, for not caring about eye appeal. Collectors will take that all day long. 100% we will. 100%. Justin Bowes likes the 05 Cup cards. Me too. Dr. Copernicus says, are you going to crack and resub the Robin and the Otto Graham cards, Captain? No, absolutely not, Doctor. I have no interest in giving the grading company money to grade a card they already graded. Just not my thing. And it's probably, if I go to sell the card, maybe I will, because, maybe it gets a higher grade and that gets me more money. But as long as it's in my PC, I prefer them in the low grade. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have a card that is so undergraded that the grade just doesn't matter. Matt says, I'm a vintage nerd, but I love my modern Cubs and patch auto cards. Very good. Professor says that last Sunday I commented on how in 2020 with Upper Deck moving printing to Italy influenced my collecting strategy. Can I give you more insight about all it is that it's, Professor, it's a great question, but it comes back to the boundaries discussion we were having from earlier. As I've mentioned, I collect cup base patch parallels from 2005 until 2019. The fact that I'm cutting it off there is coincidental to the fact that in 2020, Upper Deck started using a printing facility in Italy. And it's just a nice, convenient place for me to draw the line and set a boundary. And just to show you guys, this is my cup gold patch collection. Okay. These 3 boxes, I'll show you, are filled with cards from this collection. There's box number 1. It says right there, I call them golds. Cup golds number 1 right there. That's that box. Just to show you I'm not messing around here. Cup golds number 2. That's that box. And just a random card. Base patch parallels from there. Random card. I pull a Gretzky. That's box number 2. And they're in order. They're in order of year, of course, and also card number. And then this is the 3rd box. So I have room to put more in. Cup golds number 3. And this is the newest one, 2019 Alexander Ovechkin out of 8. So they're out of 10 for most years, and then they become out of 8. That's I only have 1 from 2019, I think. Yeah, this is my 2018 Ovechkin card. Really nice patch on that. So that's them. And I just at this point, I don't need to keep on doing it. I'm still going back to 2005. And just to show, these are the additions from 2023. All the cards. This is all I got this year in 2023 was this stack here. Although I do have 20 more incoming right now from 05. And this is the newest one. I just picked this up at the post office yesterday, the 07-08 Mario Lemieux. I hit the buy it now on eBay for this, and I just thought I got to grab it. It's Mario, and it's a nice yellow patch. It's game worn. It's already 17 years old, so I'm going to grab it. That's the newest one I've added to my collection, which now sits at 360 cards, and you guys just basically saw all of them. But that's really what did it. The other thing that made that decision for me, Professor, and everybody else, is that several years ago, Upper Deck started having some of them autographed, where they had autograph deals. So a lot of the players that I have the autograph, I don't do the autograph versions, just the non-autograph ones. And now it's like the same players year over year. So I'm just like, I don't need to keep on collecting Philip Forsberg patches out of 8. I just don't need it. I might end up picking some up of younger guys. Maybe I'll pick up a Connor Bedard in 2024 or something like that. So I guess never say never is what I should really, how I should put that one. Matthew asks, is Gretzky uniform preference Edmonton, then Kings, then Rangers, then Blues? Yeah, I think Kings and Rangers are kind of neck and neck for me, though. For patches, maybe, it's Edmonton, and then it's everything else for me, Matthew. Really. Edmonton is definitely Edmonton first. Yeah, Edmonton definitely over Kings, 100%. That goes without saying. That's an easy answer. But after that, there aren't many Blues pieces, if any. So Triple V says the exquisite is truly awesome. I think you're talking probably about the Lemieux. Mookie says, what's the breakdown on trades versus purchases? Sounds like lots of trades. No. Well, let me go through. Purchase. Trades on the Shacks. This was a cash and trade. Cash. The Robitaille was actually a cash and trade where I got back the card and cash. Cash, I think. Cash. Yeah, and the rest were cash. So it's probably like, over 80% cash. Mark Santucci, yeah, the Gordie Howe was awesome. Thank you. Triple V, the Jerry Rice PMG is very, very clean. Matthew says, agree. I also prefer the aesthetics of the red PMG over the green, especially for color match. Yes, 100%. I look at the greens and they don't do it for me. The reds do it. The greens, look, if I had one, they're nice, but I don't know. Then again, I'm looking up at my 2012 Fleer Retro Solani green and I love it. I have the 2012 Iginla over there. I love it. So I like the greens too, but not for the cost. What uniform is Jerry Rice card in? 49ers. The Rice is sick. Thank you, Justin. Vintage card says, oh, the Barry. Where did I pick up the Barry Sanders? Probably PWCC. I think probably PWCC, but let me verify that. Let me look that up really quick. I'm going to go with PWCC, but let me see. Yeah, PWCC. Professor says Playmakers Theater. Yeah, Gretz. So the Playmakers Theater for football and basketball were in the 90s. Hockey was 2012, just so you know, Professor. Mark Santucci, do I have any Jim Brown cards? Not anymore. No, I had his rookie. My copy of his rookie is selling tomorrow night on PWCC, actually. A PSA 7, a beautiful one. Thank you, Mike Nunny. Appreciate that. Matt W says, any advice on how to spot patch cards that have swapped patches? No, I don't have any advice. The 2 that I own, I can't tell. They're very good at what they do. So no advice. Well, the advice I would give, because there's probably some amateurs that are trying to do it, is just look at the patch window. Look at the surface around the patch window. And if it's got, damage to it, then be careful, proceed accordingly from there. Terry Fortune, the Wizards are great. I know, Terry. I know. And I know you know too. No doubt. Northern Lights Entertainment. Welcome to the show. What's going on? Tampa says the Upper Deck Sixth Sense Wizards and the totally certified platinum mirror are my top 90s. Yeah. So we're on the same page on the Wizards, Tampa, but I'm not a fan of the totally certified mirrors, platinum mirrors. They just don't love the design. Personally. Professor, okay, what was that? Confused, that's fine. Dual logos are sweet. Thank you. Oh, wow, so many comments, you guys. Professor says, how high number to the dual shields of the cup cards you show? Oh, they're both 1-on-1s, Professor. Those are both the only copies that exist. So those, and they're the only copies they ever made of those two players in particular. Do you think him having success as a GM affects his prices at all? He's talking about Steve Yzerman. I don't know. I think it should. I mean, it's helping build his overall legacy. So I think it should a little bit, but I'm not collecting him for what he's doing, in the front office. I collect Yzerman for what he did on the ice and just the player and the leader that he was. Such a classy player, a classy professional athlete, one of the classiest ever. Buy the card, not the grade with those PSA 10 Yzermans. Yeah, for sure. Not all 10s are the same, obviously, and especially with Steve Yzerman's. Triple V says, one of the hardest working gentlemen in our hobby. Give the video a thumbs up. Thank you, Triple V. I'll take your thumbs up. I never ask for thumbs up, but I'll take them. I'll take them for sure. Daniel wants to know, is Gretzky and blue stuff rare? Yeah, it is rare. Quick answer, it is rare. Northern Lights, off topic. With the National in Cleveland next year, have you attended? Yeah, I've been to 2 or 3 Cleveland Nationals, and you got to drive there. You got to drive to the facility from your hotel, or at least take a car. So keep that in mind. We now have a top 25 Jeremy Card Bro list. There you go. Jim Hansen wants to know, do I collect any Tretiak? I have one Tretiak card in my collection. It's a really nice card. It's like a jumbo emblem of like the hammer and sickle from the USSR. And it's a really, really, really cool card. That's the only one that I have right now. Ed Seed says, I like the 97-98 Jordan and Kobe Green more than the red. Fair enough. I'm going to go with, I like the looks of the reds better, but that, but it's, then the value gets into your head and it starts to kind of bias you. Well, this one's worth $1 million. That one's only worth 200,000. So which one, when you're talking about Michael Jordan, Jordan's probably worth 3 or 4 million in green and the red's probably worth $250,000. It's, you got to really watch your brain there when you're thinking, do I like the green better because it's worth, $3 million? But I think when you take the money out of it, I like the red better. I've always liked the color red better than the color green my whole life. So maybe that's part of it too. Mark says, when in showcase, what percent asked to see your player Gretzky and what percent asked to see asked by my player Gordie Howe? Don't know, Mark. Don't know. I would say it's Gretzky by a mile. It's Gretzky by a mile, easily. Vintage says, seems like you're parting with some key vintage rookies recently. Why did you choose those? Yeah, I chose the cards that I'm moving, and I've got lots of cards ending tomorrow night on the PWCC Weekly. I chose the cards to move that I'm moving because I'll be able to replace them. And the copies, I either have other copies, so i.e. Wayne Gretzky and Bobby Orr, or I'm going to, and some of them I'm not going to replace because I'm like, I don't really need a Gaylord Perry rookie in my collection anymore. I don't have a connection to Johnny Bench. I'm willing to move that card. Roger Staubach, I've had the rookie for a long time. I've enjoyed it, but he's not somebody that I have any connection to. So I'm probably not going to replace that one. But I have other ones that I'm moving that I will replace, like the Jim Brown. That's a card that I will most likely replace my copy of down the road, among others. I can't remember everything, but yeah, that's it. And I'll likely replace them in lower grade, but a really nice copy. Like I don't need a PSA 7 Jim Brown rookie. I'll go find myself a really nice 4 and I'll just keep a bunch of money in my pocket and still have a nice copy of the card. That's kind of just where I'm at. Justin says he's got like a year of cards with the Blues. Wayne Gretzky does. Yeah, he does. Brett S says, do you think 2021 SP Signature Legends will age like fine wine? I don't know, Brett. I think some of them will. But, I started collecting the acetate all-time future watches. I got to like 38 of them or something like that. And I haven't picked up one in a long time. And I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I was thinking about getting rid of them and just saying, no, I'm not going to do them. But at the last second, I pulled them back and I said, I'm going to keep these and think about it longer. So I don't know. I think they're cool. I wish they were numbered, the acetates. I wish they were numbered. That would, if I knew how many there were, that would make me want them more, especially if that number was like under 100. But because I don't know, I'm less into them. The autographed the autographed all-time future watches, though, those could age like fine wine. They could, at the most basic, they are simply an autographed numbered card. But the theme of the card being all-time future watch is what has elevated them to, more expensive status. We'll see. Professor wants to know, has anyone compiled the complete red PMG hockey checklist? Don't know. Not that I've seen. Whew. All right, guys. We're 10 minutes shy of 2 hours on this stream, so I think we got through all the topics that I had in the notes there. So now it's up to you guys. If you want to go for a few more minutes, I'm happy to. I see a couple comments just came in. Let me take a sip of the water here. All right. Skeppy asks, if you had to collect something else other than cards or memorabilia, what would it be? Well, I like all these vintage electronic games that you sort of see behind me there. Like I've got, that's what that is. I don't know why it's so blurry right now, but there, it's a little bit clearer now. So I like vintage electronics. Like I'm an 80s kid, and I remember like that first handheld, like Mattel baseball and football and hockey and the base and the basketball and the Merlin and the Simon and the very first Game Boy, the very first Sony Walkman, the very first Sony Watchman. I have a lot of my old iPhones lying down on the bottom. My old Motorola flip phone. I think I have a BlackBerry over there. The old little mini arcade games, like that's a Pac-Man right there. The digital derby. Who here had the digital derby? Like I did. That's not my original. I replaced it, but I don't know. Like that's it. I'm not looking for any new things to collect. I dabbled in unopened like Nintendo games and Atari 2600 games. I have like 5 or 6 of those. I bought them earlier this year. Bought them. They came delivered. And I realized it's not something that I'm going to be pursuing with passion. And I don't even think I'm going to keep all the ones that I picked up. I think I picked up like 7 of them, and I'm probably going to keep 4. And I'm probably just going to sell 3 of them because I just don't enjoy them the way that I thought I might. I gave it a try. I didn't go overboard, and probably keep a few of them and then be done with them. I think that's where I'm at. I'm at with that. But that's a fun question, Skeppy. Mark says, are you taking 2 weeks in Cleveland, going to Canton for the... No, I am not. I plan to go to the National. I wouldn't say I'm 100% going to go to the National this year. It's likely, but it's not 100%. But if and when I go, I'm going for the show and that's it, because I'm not going to take any extra days away from my family to do anything else in Cleveland, and they're not coming with me. So I will be there for, like Wednesday to Sunday. No extra time for anything else. I also just have no interest in going to the Football Hall of Fame. Sean Red says, does anyone know who is the most graded player in hockey after Gretzky? I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. Crosby, McDavid. Good question. Brett Miles, welcome to the show, buddy. I still have some wrappers for you, Brett. Says, in moving, eventually replacing some vintage rookies, would you ever consider raw, or is graded the way for you? Yeah, I'm going to go with graded, Brett, because even though I know that the grading companies, PSA and SGC aren't perfect for vintage, I do feel like I can give like 90% confidence that they're going to identify a counterfeit and or an altered card. I don't want altered and I don't want counterfeit, obviously. And I think I'm willing to give them 90% certainty that they'll get it right. So I'm going to go. But here's the thing, Brett. Here's the key part of this. I'm not buying the grade. I will buy a 2 if I love the card. I will pay more. Hopefully not. Hopefully I won't have to, but I will pay more for a 4 that I really love versus a really off-centered 6, because I don't want a really off-centered copy. I want a nicely centered card. Where I give is on corners, especially an older card, like a real vintage card. I am really good with uniform wear on the corners. So that's where I'm at. Mookie Chilson says, how's Tag doing as we end the year? Yeah, really good. Tag is actually in December with their new Tag X service. They are ready to increase the output by, and I don't know the exact multiple, and I don't even know if I'm like at liberty to say, but I have a feeling, but I'm not going to say it because I don't know that that they'd want me to say exactly what that is, what my perspective or my perception is. But I'll just say that Tag's output is in December going to be by far the most that it's been in any previous month, and that's because of the Tag X service. That's their $12 per card grading service, and there's information on the website. Go check it out. Travis says, do you have any canvas cards, Fanimation or Chronology canvas autos? Very aesthetically pleasing. I don't have my Fanimations anymore, Travis, but I do like them. And I can't think that I have any canvas cards in my whole collection right now, actually. I'm not 100% that I don't have them, but I don't think I do. Foul Fireball, do you have any thoughts on the Ohtani signing to the Dodgers? Well, I wish he would have signed with the Blue Jays. That's my first thought. That would have been great that just would have made Canada and baseball take it to a whole new level. But not really. I don't really have any. I mean, he's going from one team to another in the same city, right? So, in Southern California. So, not really. But I will say that, I'm close with the guys that all work at Tag, and they're all Dodgers fans. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy for them. And I wish he was going to the Blue Jays, but I don't really have any thoughts. I don't really follow modern baseball that closely to have any further thoughts that would really be worthy of me sharing publicly, because I just don't know enough about it. Skeppy, thank you for the picks on my shelf behind me. Daniel still buys NES games. Yeah, I have an NES. I still have an NES. Matthew wants to know, how long are you going to give yourself to buy low-grade, high-appeal cards of I'm moving 2 years, 5, 10? No time limit, Matthew. No time limit. I will wait as long as I have to for the right copy, Matt. That is the beauty. That is why I will not put any pressure on myself. Like my Koufax, for example. It's the first time I won't own a Koufax in 15 years. And that was a tough one to let go. It's a PSA 7 that I'm letting go. And I'm going to eventually buy another Koufax. That's for sure. So that might be the first one I buy back. We'll see. And I'll probably go for a 6. I'll probably go for the nicest 6 I can find. And hopefully I'll be able to pay a lot less than what I sell my 7 for. Mike Double V says, I still have my working Tandy handheld games from the 80s. Oh, those are so cool. Ed Seat, I had the Merlin game. I have the Merlin. The Merlin is right there. That's the Merlin right there. That's the Merlin, the original. Brett says, I love that after all these years, you will try something, consciously have that dialogue with yourself, and make the changes you see fit. Thanks, Brett. I said it earlier. I don't know if you're here for that, but like, I'm always, and I think a lot of collectors are, but I 43 years in this hobby. I mean, since I was 10 years old, and I'm always finding different things and like refining the way I do it. I'm always refining. And that's why, I could have said something on this show 3.5 years ago that now I will say something completely opposite. And it's not because I didn't believe it when I said it, or that's not what I was doing when I said it. It's because I've changed. I've changed the way I'm doing something. And I reserve the right to do that. And I think we all should reserve the right to adjust how we collect as we evolve and as we gain more experience and as we are exposed to more things. I'm influenced by the smallest Instagram accounts out there who show a card. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I'll go look at it. I'll research it. Next thing you know, I've picked off 5 or 6 different players of card from that set, and they're no more than, $20 each. That makes me happy too. Mike, I am not going to be at the upcoming Burbank show. It'll be the first Burbank show that I'm missing. It's happening right when I'm going to be moving. So yeah, this background that you all are seeing isn't going to be around for much longer. I will be in a new house in February in a new space with a new, this is like my office. I'll be in a new, this is like the office/studio. I will be in a new office/studio. I don't know exactly when I'm going to move in February. So we'll see. I'll be taking a vacation at the end of February as well. And so the first episode with the new background, the new studio, will be some point in February, perhaps early March. Justin Bode says, I just want to say that we are truly lucky to have the Sunday PWCC show. The random stuff we all get to learn about, all these amazing hockey cards, is very much appreciated. Thanks, Justin. And by the way, earlier today, I picked out the cards. I looked at what Josh was interested in, and I picked out the cards that we're going to look at tomorrow night. And I can tell you, there's some I picked out just to talk about them, not because I think they're awesome to buy, but just to educate the audience on. I try to do that. Mark Santucci, I cannot believe you ran out of questions, Mark. I cannot believe it. Diamond Dog, I never got into collecting vinyl. That's a cool area, though. I mean, I'm not a huge music guy right now, but in my younger years, in the 80s in the 80s, I was listening to the Doors and Led Zeppelin nonstop, like the Monks, Bad Habits. Oh yeah, I was listening to music nonstop in the 80s. The 90s, I was all about the grunge scene. And there are some albums that I could see myself purchasing, framing, and putting up on the wall. Do I need the record inside of them? Probably not. I probably just need the jacket, I love Steely Dan, the Doobie Brothers. These, I like a wide variety of music. Those are some of my favorites. Professor says, have you formed an opinion from your Yager interview, his involvement with top legends to produce the authentic currency quality value notes featuring 4-time Stanley Cup champion Wayne Gretzky? I think they're awesome, Professor. I saw those. I think those they're currency notes that are printed in the Czech Republic's official mint that prints their money. Yager is I think an investor in this company, and I think they're awesome. I think the price is high on them. That's going to be a challenge for them, but I think it's awesome for sure. Vintage Card Collector says, any comment on Neo's video on why tag uses human verification? I think most people figured the technology would make human involvement unnecessary. Yeah, it's for quality insurance. It's for quality control. That's my comment on it. Yeah, that's my comment. Humans do not grade the cards. Human verify the grades to make sure that the automated system is doing it right. That's it. Really, what it's looking for are things like false positives, that sort of thing. Did the system identify a defect that isn't actually there? And there are certain defects that are prone to that, I believe, and that's why I think they do it. So that's my response. Daniel A says, Jade dodged a bullet not signing Ohtani. Yeah, I mean, $700 million. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. That's $70 million a year over 10 years. That is a lot of money. Matthew says, good answer. When I did the same, I found I missed the cards more than I thought I would. So yeah, I don't know how big your collection was, Matthew, when you sort of consolidate. I think you're talking about when you consolidated into your 52 Tops Mickey Mantle. We had you on the show to talk about that directly. And I don't know how many cards you had in your collection leading up, but I can tell you that the cards that I retained are still awesome. I still have a very nice collection of really good cards, and I did not let go of any. I let go of some of my, for example, I let go of my best Gretzky rookie, but I still have 2 behind. that I love. I love them. But I kept my best cards outside of a couple of exceptions. Cholo Dolo dipping out, but yeah, good to see you, Travis. Thanks for joining. Joe Perot in the house. What's going on, buddy? Jimmy Page, you're a huge Zeppelin fan. Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, Zach. Enjoyed the top 25 card. It was 23, but thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Terry asks, where am I moving to? Just a couple neighborhoods over. Just a couple neighborhoods over. That's it. Skeppy says, if you could travel anywhere in time and you could buy as many cards as you can with 1 ounce of gold, what time would you choose? The gold would be value to the time. So basically, just go back with an amount of gold. I mean, I got to pick a time. Gosh, when would I go back? I'd go back to probably. I mean, would I be stupid not to go back to 1909 and buy Honus Wagner's? Like, wouldn't that be the right answer? Or go back to the early 1920s and buy Honus Wagner's and Babe Ruth M101s and and all that stuff? Skeppy, honestly, like any time period pre-pandemic would be a good decision on that, I think. No, probably you got to go back to before 1990. I don't know. Any time would be fun. How about you? I don't know. It's a tough question. Diamond Dog says music is probably the only thing that could rival my sports fandom. That makes a lot of sense to me. The professor says Neo is confusing autonomous AI with the majority of AI, which is non-autonomous AI, which is always overseen by humans. And TAG has never said they're AI. TAG is not AI. TAG is automated grading. So AI, TAG has never said they're AI. I might have said it once or twice out of convenience. Maybe I've said it more just out of convenience because people think it is. But TAG is not technically AI grading. TAG is automated grading. So there's that too. Zach Swisher, year-end review for me. Lots of shows. First show as a dealer. 57 out of 76 NBA 75th anniversary autos. That's amazing. The chase is awesome and keeps me up at night. Very nice. Very nice. The professor says you may not be a music guy, but you have, I've shown my music cards from back in those eras, right? Back in those eras, professor. I have whittled down that collection. I whittled it down, but I kept like my favorites again. I kept my favorites. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Yeah, the voice is going okay right now. Justin Bode, I picked up a 95-96 Be a Player Gretzky auto today. Congratulations. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Mark Santucci would go back to the 70s, including 19. Yeah, maybe I just go back and I just snap up Gretzky rookies for $1 a piece in 1980. $5 a piece, whatever it is. Maybe that's what we do. All right. That's the end of the comments, guys. And that's going to be the end of the show. That is going to be the end of the show tonight, December the 9th, 2023. Next Saturday, Eitan Shapiro. You know him from Instagram as the Sports Card Cartel. He will be our guest next Saturday on the show. Tomorrow night, the PWCC show will be another fun one. Monday night, MC Mondays Live. I don't know if you guys watch that, how many of you watch that show, but I gotta encourage you to watch it at least once. Watch MC Mondays because you want to see me. Like my kids ask my wife, what was that? And she's like, that's daddy. That's daddy doing a show. Because I get really loud. On MC Mondays Live every Monday night, you guys, because boy, is that a fun show to do. So check it out. Join us on that show. We go live just before 9:30 Eastern on Monday. I think we're going to go live at like 9:20 or 9:25 on Monday night. Tomorrow will be the PWCC show, the weekly hockey show. The MC Mondays is all sports, sometimes some non-sports. It's basically about 60 to 70 cards that end 1 minute apart on eBay, and we just call the action. My co-host Michael Hathaway from MC Sports Cards, he provides some color. I call him the crystal ball. He sort of guesses where the card's going to end, and he's often very close. And I bring out snipers. We bring out snipers on scene, see if they're going to pull the trigger and snipe the cards. And I call the action, and it's a lot of fun. So join us on that. Thank you, Professor. 6 out of 5 stars for the stream tonight. We'll take it. Justin Bode, thank you. Mark's given 5 out of 5, but the professor had to outdo him at 6 out of 5. Love it. Skeppy, thank you. Good to see you, Skeppy. You've been around. You've been watching for a long time. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Thanks for joining. Have a good rest of the weekend. Hopefully, we'll see you guys tomorrow night on the PWCC show, and hopefully, we'll see you again the next night on the MC Mondays Live. That's it. Have a good rest of the weekend. This episode of Sports Cards Live